You're listening to The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath on WCPT 820.
All right, everybody, welcome back. A little after 2 o'clock here in the upper Midwest. Representative Trey Martinez-Fischer represents the 12th legislative district in the Texas State House. That's San Antonio and part of the beautiful Texas Hill Country. Right now, Trey is representing his constituents by spending time up here in the Great Lakes. He and his Democratic colleagues are doing exactly what we teach those who would fight tyranny to do. They are not obeying. These Texans are truth tellers, and what they are telling us is that democracy is bigger than the rule-bending cheaters, Donald Trump and Texas Governor Abbott. Representative Fischer, thank you for joining me.
Edwin, thank you for having me on this show. This message is so important.
Yeah. So before we get to it, how do you like Chicago?
Hey, I tell you what, this is a great place to be. I was on your show earlier in the week, and I just said if anybody ever complained about Governor Pritzker, just come with me to Texas for a couple of weeks so that you realize what you have, because it is a really poor state of affairs in Texas.
The politics are terrible down there, but the city itself in the summer shows up pretty well. I hope you're comfortable and enjoying the time, as miserable as the politics is, that you get out and have a chance to enjoy some of the city.
Yes, Edwin, it's on my list. I mean, we're under increased security and we have to do a little bit more planning, but it is a beautiful town. Everybody I run into is always very nice and welcoming.
You know, just as my city, as you say, has happily adopted your delegation, I want you to be sure, and I want you to, bring back to the folks you represent, they should know this, that in this fight, we are all Texans now. It's like when the whole country adopted New York City after the Twin Towers came down. Americans everywhere want to support you and Texans as your cruel governor tries to make voting irrelevant in that state.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that, and that's what I've been saying from day one. This is no longer the Apollo 13 tagline of Houston, we have a problem. This is America, we have a problem. This democracy is being stolen right before our very eyes. And all we're doing in Texas is we took a page from one of your fellow Illinoisans, Abraham Lincoln. You know, he broke quorum a long time ago in the Illinois Assembly. He jumped out of a window. That's right. Yeah. Well, we got on a plane. He got out of the window. We got on a plane, right? Yeah, but we go ahead.
No, I'm glad you mentioned him. We got a lot of examples to follow in Abe Lincoln, and that was a pretty great one. Yeah.
It was indeed. I mean, but we're waking up this country. That's our mission. We know that the chips are stacked against us, but we can wake this country up and get a measured response, and I think that's happening.
Yeah. Hey, help people understand. I don't think people up in this part of the country know much about Texas. I don't think they understand, for example, how many Democrats, how many independents, how many Republicans who reject MAGA and their fascist rule there really are in Texas.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Number one, this is Texas 101. We are not a Republican state. We're a non-voting state. We have the largest African-American population in the country. We have the second largest Latino population in the country. We are a minority state when you combine African Americans, Latinos, and Asians. But we are governed by very extreme Republicans that have perfected the art of stacking, packing, and cracking communities of color so that they will never have a voice. So, hey, this is a big sports town in Chicago. I happen to like the Bears as well. Why would the Chicago Bears ever take the field if they knew the game had been engineered for them to lose? Who would want to play that game? That's what they're doing here in Congress. They are with mathematical precision determining political outcomes before there's a single vote cast. And that's what Donald Trump wants. He is doing lousy right now in the polls. The midterms are going to be a wreck, and the U.S. House of Representatives has a really good chance of going back to the Democrats. So Trump picked up the phone, called Greg Abbott and said, my friend, I need you to bend the knee and draw me 5 Republican congressional districts right now. And Greg Abbott said, does the month of July work for you for me to do that? And that's where we are. And that is the state of affairs.
Yeah. And Indiana right around the corner, they're doing the same thing. So for all the reasons that you have said, gerrymandering disenfranchises people. It's a crime against democracy. And yet, I think I would make no apologies saying to all those Republicans in Illinois, you're about to be disenfranchised, and it's a terrible thing. We are going to make it so that your votes don't matter in our state. And if you don't like it, go talk to Governor Abbott and go talk to Donald Trump, because we will not keep your votes in order to disarm.
What Republicans are doing today is, frankly, an insult to gerrymandering. Gerrymandering in the old days was, well, we're going to exclude this neighborhood because I have a rival over there, or I'm not in good standing with that local official. I don't want him to run against me, so we'll draw them out. That's gerrymandering. This is extreme gerrymandering. This is, we're just going to, the hell with the voters. We know better. These politicians will pick the voters instead of the other way around. This isn't about a fair and square election anymore. This is about engineering outcomes. And just think about how much technology you have on your smartphone right now and all the things you can do that you could never have done before in the 1980s. Well, when it comes to voting and drawing districts, the technology has moved in incredible speed. They know everything about you. They know everything about you.
Yep, it's perfect. So and the outcomes for people who live in radically gerrymandered states are terrible because their elected representatives don't work for them anymore. They work for the map makers and they work for the money, the contributors. They have no stake in the voters anymore. And that means that the democracy isn't. It's just not a thing. It's a decoration on top of something else. And that we can't go there.
100%. And that's where we are. And that's why folks in Illinois and the Midwest and throughout this country, they're picking this up. This is one of the most talked about issues in the country this week. And I know, California made a big announcement that they told Donald Trump, if you want to have a race to the bottom, we'll see you at the finish line. Their assembly is going to work to offset gains in Texas. Governor Pritzker said there are no rules going forward now. Donald Trump has thrown the rules out, and we all have to do what we need to do. I'm inspired to hear the voices in New York, Governor Hochul saying the same thing, state of Maryland saying the same thing. This is not the fight we want. This is the fight that we're going to finish. Because, look, this president is not the commander-in-chief anymore. He is what I've been calling the commander-in-cheat. He is just cheating his way to the 2026 election. And every time you say that on your show, I want you to think about me.
Yep, very good. Hey, we've seen all these maps of America that have a lot of red, right, and a little bit of blue. Well, a lot of that red is, sparsely populated land. It turns out that when you have congressional districts in blue states, there are a lot of congressmen. So you know what? You want to play this game? This actually plays to the favor of Democrats. You want to radically gerrymander Illinois, New York, and California? Texas isn't going to be able to make up for all of that. To throw in Pennsylvania, Florida won't make up for that. And they're already gerrymandered, so they can only pick up a few. Like, you want to fight this fight, you will lose this fight, and you should.
Right, and you're exactly right. And there's only so much they can do in Texas. For all your listeners out there, San Antonio is a Democratic city. We're the 6th largest city in the country. Dallas is a Democratic city. Houston is a Democratic city. Austin's a Democratic city. The big 10 cities in the state are all Democratic except for one. The population, the demography is in our favor, but it's these folks that are in charge, and they're using this junk science to keep us, sequestered and to keep us inferior and not being able to compete and win.
Well, this is it. They've picked this fight. This is everything's on the line with these guys. They want to take it all. And so we're either going to fold our tents and say this was a nice experiment, or we're going to win. And when we win, then we have to make some reforms so they can't ever do it again. And some tough ones. Yeah.
It is tough. It's a circumstance we're in. Like I said, I mean, we're a part-time legislature. We just worked from session from January to June. I was very comfortable getting back home, being a civilian, making up all my honeydews that I missed for 6 months, catching up with my daughters, making sure I still had a law license because I'd been gone for a long time. And just when I settled into my normal routine, we got this salvo. And here's the other part that doesn't pencil. The Trump Justice Department is started all this because they said Texas used race when they made these 5 congressional districts, and that was unconstitutional. The problem with that is these districts that they're attacking were drawn by Republicans, and those Republicans had testified under oath in a federal court, not before one federal judge, but before a panel of 3 judges, and said that these maps were legal and constitutional and had nothing to do with race. So my question right away is who's lying? Who's lying?
Yeah.
Are the Republicans in the courtroom lying that say these seats are race blind, or is it the Trump DOJ? And bear in mind the seats that they're attacking are the seats that we're running in today. That these Republicans are still making their gains. So it's just a blatant power grab out of desperation because somebody's afraid of the 2026 election, right?
And by the way, if they gerrymander it more, this just means they take districts where they built in an 18% advantage because of the map. But in order to make more of them, they're going to, instead of having 5 with an 18% advantage, they'll have 8 with a 12% advantage. Their advantage has to go down in order to make more of them. And you might pick some of them up.
And that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. And there are a lot of Republicans in the Texas delegation in Congress saying, hey, don't take those Republicans out of my neighborhood. I need those people. You have some folks that say, hey, I practice a certain religious faith, and if you move my district too far into the rural areas, well, they don't like people like me. They don't respect my religion. So you don't hear, when you start hearing Chip Roy and Congressman Tony Gonzalez, when they get on the mountain and start saying this is a good idea, because that's not going to happen. They are very worried, and Trump's made it clear he doesn't care about the collateral damage. He wants what he wants.
I know, but they're going to be collateral damage follows them like night follows day. There's just it happens. Hey, let me change the subject a little bit. We've covered this gerrymandering stuff, but Governor Abbott is running again. I think this is going to be for a 4th term. And now look, he has made some mistakes, and he has tied his horse firmly to Donald Trump's back end. Do you think that makes him vulnerable? I know Texas hasn't had a Democratic governor since when? Since Ann Richards in the 90s, maybe? But do you have a shot at taking a governor out?
So the short answer is it's very uphill, and you're right. Ann Richards was the last Democratic governor. This governor right now has about $180 million in his campaign account. There are no contribution limits in the state of Texas. The guy is printing money. He is first and foremost concerned about surviving a Republican primary, which is a big MAGA audience, right? So the more extreme, the better in his view. Beto O'Rourke closed the gap on Ted Cruz back in 2018 by about 3 points. And at a presidential level, Joe Biden lost the state by 5.5 points in 2020. And so, look, we've got some work to do. This is still either a 5 to 9 point deficit for Democrats to make up. But it's engaging people who are not voting, and this government has perfected the idea of keeping people struggling with not getting a good education, not getting any health care, don't care about protecting kids in schools from mass violence. They don't even care about protecting children who are at a camp who drowned in a record flood. They are so tone deaf on this thing that folks end up seeing government as the enemy, and they don't get too excited about rushing to the voting booth to vote for a government that's done nothing for them. And I hate to say that, and I hate to sound so cynical, but there's a lot of apathy in the state because a very good example. I don't mean to hog the time here. This governor turned down $440 million from the federal government to feed children over the summer because they get their meals when they're in school, and when they're not in school, there's no place to go. So the federal government, near unanimous in Congress, Republicans, Democrats, near unanimous, they voted for this program. Texas has to put in about $40 million to stand up the program, and they get $440 million back. This governor said no. That's how awful he is.
Yeah, it's cruel. But I went back and I looked at a whole bunch of FDR's speeches to try and understand the threat that America faced when we faced the fascist threat in World War II. And his insight was that the democracy works best if we continue to build for the people who are here. So invest in Social Security, invest in health insurance, invest in minimum wages and workplace conditions. And he said, if those go away, people won't care and fascism will grow in America. So in part, your governor's decision to impoverish people, to make their lives more difficult, absolutely means those people will not be interested in the kind of activities that you need in a democracy. They won't feel like they have any agency or the power to speak up. And it's going out to them and saying you do, and if you do, we can improve the lot of your lives. That's a challenge.
It is a challenge indeed. But look, I'm hopeful for the future. The demography of our state changes by the day. That census data that I gave you that gives us, we had 6 new seats in Congress in the last 20 years. 90% of that population that created those new seats were minority. 50% of that population was Latino alone. These children that are matriculating, every 12th grader sitting in the high school classroom, they may not know they're Democrats, but they know they care about having a good education, affording college, loving people without judgment. They do believe in all of the values. They want to have control over their bodies. They have our values. And if we can get them to engage, Texas is going to change, and you and I are going to be hanging out at the presidential conventions.
Do the Democrats able to run people in every district in Texas? I know that's been a problem around the country. And some, parties have worked really hard to do this. How is that gap in Texas?
Well, we have 150 House districts, 31 Senate districts, and 38 congressional districts. We can probably field candidates in every single district, but we also need to give them resources. And so, like everybody else, we prioritize. But sure, we have the bandwidth too. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, we can't win people's votes if we don't ask for their votes. So it starts
you got to show up.
You got to show up, and it's hard to ask people to run in elections where they can't win. But it starts with running in a seat you can't win and making the case. And so I'm glad you're doing that. I am. It's tough to do. Wow, it's tough to do.
Well, I just appreciate and I'm grateful to have your platform to speak our piece. A lot of people don't know what we're doing, and they wake up scratching their head. And when we can have this conversation, I think people recognize that this is the side of history you want to be on.
So I love your state. I don't love its politics, but I think the people and the places stay with you in Texas. I'm for most of my Great Lakes audience, as I said about the politics, doesn't know much about the state. What do you love about Texas?
I love the people. I love the history. Yeah. I'm from the city of San Antonio. We have missions that were built, hundreds of years ago. We're a big state, but we're very small and we're very friendly. And so all of this, hyper, extremism you see, that is not San Antonio, Dallas, or Houston, or Austin. That is a fading soundbite. But unfortunately, because of the political science, a lot of these voices are being drowned out. So Texas is a wonderful state. We are a tremendous trading partner. We are the sixth largest economy in the world. We have a wonderful relationship with Mexico, despite the rhetoric. And frankly, we've got a lot of brain power and we've got a lot of capacity in our state.
Yeah, I used to work for one of your former mayors, Henry Cisneros. That was a terrific guy.
Did you work for him at HUD?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, a couple of my mentors were like he took a handful of people with him from San Antonio. Two of them were very close to me. They both passed away. Susan Rocha and Choco Mesa. Wonderful people.
Yes, wonderful people. I worked with both of them. Wonderful, wonderful people. I also worked with Andrew Cuomo, and that jury's out on that one.
Yeah, so you were in CDBG. If you work for Cuomo, you were in CDBG. So I know
I didn't work for him. I wasn't in CDBG, but he and I butted heads a little bit, as everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah, no. Secretary Cisneros lives in the district I represent. He votes for me, and it's always good to get his words of advice on politics because he has seen a lot.
He's a terrific guy, really terrific guy. All right, well, let me just zoom out. So Texas has got a lot going for it, and you didn't even mention the food, which is, so Texas is a great state, and people just don't understand it because in our part of the country, they just see big red, and they just hear your governor, and they don't really get a sense of how lovely the state is, most of it. So I'm glad that you guys have a chance to come out and tell people this.
Right. No, and it's great. I mean, our local governments are very strong. They're very democratic. South Texas is a gem. We've got beautiful beaches. We've got great food. We have lots of culture. So yes, it is a place to come, and most people may have the occasion to visit because we do host a lot of conventions, especially in San Antonio. So give us a shot. Screw our governor. Think locally.
All right, Al. So thinking about just zooming out about the whole country, I've asked everybody this on the radio today, and I want to get your take too. There's a lot that's going right, and a lot of, like you, are fighting very hard. But the idea that you have to leave the state, come here, have security, the idea that judges are being, threatened with violence, on a scale of 1 to fascist, where would you say the United States is right now?
It's about 3 clicks away from fascist.
Yeah. That seems to be everybody's view, that we really need to take this seriously. And the big fight. Big fight. Well, all right, listen, thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Thank you. Good. I was just going to say 25 years of politics, I never imagined to get a letter that the FBI might lean in to come find me for a political fight in Texas.
Oh, on that story, I mean, the FBI has zero business. There is no felony. There's no federal offense at all and it's not illegal to leave your state in America. You are allowed to leave your state in the United States. That is just a thing. Happens every day. The idea that they would weaponize the federal police force to do this work is just one more example of why we're only 3 clicks away.
I'm 100%. I agree with that.
Yep. Trey, really, I appreciate the time you spent today. I hope that you aren't under lock and key the whole time you're here, that you get out and get a chance to enjoy this city, its food, and its people. Because, as I said, we're all Texans right now.
Thank you, my friend. Well, I have my list, and I'm hoping to enjoy that. And it's a pleasure to be on your show. And thank you for your hospitality to host me today.
You bet. You bet. All right, everybody. That is Trey Martinez-Fischer fighting the good fight from outside the state of Texas right now.